Hello, my name is Richard Medcalf, founder of Xquadrant. I coach some of the world's top executives and management teams, helping them achieve bigger and more meaningful results than ever before. In this season, I'm speaking with C-suite leaders from around the globe to find out what the COVID-19 pandemic has taught them and what wisdom they have to share for other leaders. Welcome to Leadership Lessons for Challenging Times. Today I'm speaking with Christophe Collet, who is a French entrepreneur who lives in London and who has built a global tech business called S4M, serving the retail sector. He's an interesting person because he's got an international perspective and he's a true entrepreneur, having really built a successful business from nothing. And in this discussion, we dive into what COVID-19 has meant for him serving retail customers who have been profoundly affected overnight by a lockdown. And we draw out of him some of the leadership lessons which has helped him survive and navigate this challenging time. So enjoy the conversation. Hi, Christophe.
Hello, Richard.
Hi, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so hey, before we get started, why don't we just take 1 or 2 minutes, just to explain a little bit, your elevator pitch, who you are and what S4M is.
S4M is a drive-to-store technology. Our platform is capable to optimize in real time your marketing budget towards that through KPIs and through ROI, which is incremental visitors. So the platform is able to drive your visitors online, but that's quite common. And I think the specificity of our technology is also to bridge the online and the offline world, and to be able to, by using digital ads digitalized digital ads to drive people to your physical stores. Because bear in mind that 90% of the global sales worldwide are still happening in physical stores. I mean, in normal time.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're linking for retailers the physical world with the online world.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We are bridging both worlds, online and offline. So go ahead.
And you founded this company, is that right, in about 2011, something like that?
Yeah, late 2011. So let's say 1st of December 2011. So we are 8 years now, and so we are about 200 in the company. We have 8 subsidiaries covering more than 50 markets. So today we are a huge presence in the US, let's say North America, which is our first market in terms of revenues. And obviously we are European based, so we have a large footprint in Europe. So 2 offices in France, which Paris is our headquarters. Then we have an office in London, Brussels, Milano, Roma, Madrid, and also a small office in Singapore, just to cover Southeast Asia.
Fantastic. So in whatever that was, 8 or 9 years, you've expanded 200 people, global footprint, and obviously you're serving retailers. So obviously at the time of recording, we're right in the middle of the COVID-19 lockdown of 2020. It must be a tough market, right? Serving retailers in this time. How have you had to adapt as a business to this dramatic change in your customers' reality?
We have to adapt, but again, I think we need to be at least optimist, because it's going to be temporary. Half of the world people are locked down today, but I think in a month's time or maybe 2, we will all be released. So at some point and all that people will be keen to go back to the street and to go back to their favorite retailers, etc. So obviously we have to let's say protect the company and protect the S4M talents, because we have a very good team and we want to keep it. So this is my main challenge today, is to do everything I can and we can to protect both the company and the people. And again, thanks to that, and with our people, we are able also to adapt our technology. So again, what I said before, our technology is not just about driving people from online to offline, but we can do also offline to online. So it works both ways. So what we are doing now, it's also we are telling our retailers that even if you are not able to sell your product in your shops, maybe you can find new channels, and so Amazon or etc. So we can sell them some drive to site platform, and then we can also, because you have still a lot of brands that you can buy in supermarkets, etc. So we will use our technology. If you take an example of Uber Eats or Deliveroo, so because they are massively used today, but they have a problem. The problem is that they don't have the same offers that they have before, because a lot of restaurants are closed. So what we are using our technology to just advertise in areas where they can deliver, where they have access to restaurants, and they can actually pick up the meals in restaurants and drive them to customers. So we're using location data also to help people to understand more about, opening hours, about also we help governments in Belgium, for example, just to cover young people, just to deliver them on specific medium. And we are using not only display, but also audio and video on Spotify, for example, or Deezer, just to say, guys, you're young, you need to be locked down, save life by staying at home. So we are using also, we can, with our, let's say, capabilities of hyper targeting, and we can be very sharp and accurate. So to help, let's say, clients to spend wisely their money, especially during that kind of crisis. It's important to protect the cash, save money, just to be ready for the rebound. So again, so we are adapting ourselves, and meanwhile also we are preparing the future. So just because we are obviously running less campaigns than before, because we are obviously taking hit about it, our engineering team and team in general are working on improving on our roadmap, etc. So on delivering new features, just to be ready for the rebound. And the rebound will happen, let's say, hopefully starting of July. I think we will be, all of us, except some specific brands, all of us will put a Q2 into bin, and starting on July 1st is going to be a new year. So I think we need to be ready for this new year starting on July 1st.
Absolutely. So what was the most difficult decision that you've had to make in the last few weeks as businesses kind of dried up, and your customers have been trying to rethink their strategy?
Business obviously is what it was. I think it was not very. It was a difficult decision, because when you are an entrepreneur, what you like is to hire people. So when you have to put 80% of your staff on partial employment or reducing hours, etc., worldwide, it's I took a hit personally, because it's not my mentality and it's not and my mindset. And but again, at the end of the day, and this is why I said to the team as well, we need to protect the company and we need to protect you, because we are just making some savings to protect your jobs and to give you a job when you're gonna once your rebound will happen. If you look at the US, maybe all of my competitors have done a lot of layoff. We didn't lay off anyone except me, and we actually did, but for two people, and it was not because of COVID, it was because of performances. But we wanted to keep our team, and so we have offered them to reduce the hours, and they were very keen about it, because they have a job and at least they are paid 80% of the salary. When you know what can be the social compensation in the US or in the UK. So I think the team is behind is not happy of the situation, but at least feels secure with us, and are quite confident that we will be stronger than before. Maybe also because the team would be more how can I say that? More not committed, but working together. I don't have, sorry, I don't have that word in English. But at the end, in this kind of crisis, obviously, it's the first time I'm seeing this crisis. I remember 2008 and 2009. I was not that impacted. Here we are really impacted. But what we see is that people are working together and are committed to the company now, maybe more than before. So in terms of values, it's very important, and I hope we'll be able to build on these new values of solidarity, community, etc., to work harder when the rebound will come. And because that's our reality, we'll have to work much more than before, just to make it happen starting on July 1st.
Yeah. So thank you. You've actually already moved on to my next question, which was really what's been the most surprising outcome for you of this challenging time?
Team, I think, again, it's all about people. Even if, let's say, if you read by the book, the major asset of S4M, it's technology. For me, it has ever been my team, and because it's a company, a team working together to achieve an objective. And again, I was quite surprised, and I'm grateful about all the people, because a lot of them are, even if they are pay less because working less in terms of hours, they are still 100% committed, and maybe more even than before. So if I have one thing to say, it's my team, and again, I'm very grateful about it.
Absolutely. So in terms of you, as you manage your team, how's it kind of forced you to grow as a leader? Have you felt stretched as a leader? Have you had to grow in new ways during this challenging, different, uncertain time?
Obviously, we are learning new things, because it was my first time that I was putting people on portion on. I was furloughing people or reducing errors, etc. But at the end, I'm taking advantage of this crisis because I'm traveling. I'm not traveling anymore. I have much more time, and I try to spend this time with my team. When you have 200 people, unfortunately, you don't know everyone. So what I'm trying to do is to have one-to-one with everyone who want to have in my team, want to have a one-to-one with me, just to know a bit more about them, and also to answer the question, because we have questions, they have questions, and my job is to answer the question, not to say anything to please them, but at least to give them an answer, a clear and transparent and honest answer.
Yeah, that's great. I think there's very few leaders who, at the end of a time of crisis or difficulty, say, I over-communicated, right? I mean, it's hard to over-communicate in these times. So I think that idea of actually using that moment of reaching out to speak to people we don't normally speak to is, it's fantastic.
Learning from them.
Yeah, you get new insights. Absolutely. Exactly. What's the balance that you found between top-down kind of command and control in this time? Sometimes you need to make quick decisions, versus kind of more bottom-up collaboration, empowering people in different regions of the world to make their decisions.
Again, I don't see everything just because we have country managers, and country managers are responsible also for the team. We have central managers, so HR was overloaded, I would say, for the last months. But from everything, and again, every market has been impacted in a different ways or in different timelines. So again, I think the country manager, it's also a very good experience for them to step up as a manager, just because not to be only a sales leader or margin leader, but just to be a leader. And a leader means also to lead people to achieve the objective. So I think some of the leaders will learn from that, and that will be and they will be stronger than before, and they will be stronger than before. So that's good. So then after, it's all about what was hard for us is because we have 8 subsidiaries in 8 different countries. It's 8 different laws and different approaches about partial employment, etc. So why HR was very overloaded, because it was also sometimes we had to take some decision without having the answers about how employees will have been impacted, etc. So it was over communication was not too much. Was just say, guys, we have to do it. Be sure that we are backing you. So we will do the maximum to compensate or to minimize the impact for you guys, but we have to do it. And so that was, I think, the hardest thing for us. And it was not top down or bottom up. It was just we didn't know, just because even look at what Macron said yesterday or 2 days ago. Okay, we normally would be really starting on May 11th, but no one knows how. Absolutely. And the government will have 4 weeks to define the how we will come back to work. But you can imagine that employees are already asking questions. Am I coming back on May 11th? I hope so, but I can't tell you if I will be able to reopen the office because we are all chasing masks. I think my new job now for the last week is to chase masks people, and so it's it's a lot of uncertainty, and we need to manage with that.
Yeah, one of the things I say to my clients is you need to be clear about what you can be clear about, and you need to be clear about what you can't be clear about.
Exactly. Actually, you have to be transparent, and
exactly.
It's people understand because people are not fool, and they can understand when it's clear, it's clear. When it's unclear, you have to say it's unclear, and I will give you the answer as soon as I have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually when you admit that it's unclear that your respect and credibility goes right up, because people know, as you said, they know when it's not clear.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Christophe, I know that you're a big fan of numbers and business outcome KPIs, and I know you implemented OKRs across your entire company a couple of years ago. How do you use those in these times of uncertainty? Do you use those to pilot the business, or do you actually put them on hold to rapidly readjust? Do they help you? Are they something that...
Actually, we are adjusting them, obviously, because we don't have the same workforce. And again, we also OKR are good because they are giving you a line and a way to follow. But now we have to adapt. We have to change our offers, etc. So obviously, we are adapting ourselves. And but still, again, I think it's important to use that time where we all have more time. Okay, that's reality. To think about what's going to be future. So in terms of numbers, one of my let's say target before May 11 is also to release a new dashboard to help my country managers to monitor better the business and to to have clear and real-time KPIs to help them on a daily basis to manage better their business.
Great. So let's talk about the retailers that you work with. As you said, their world has changed very quickly, right? I mean, they've had to close down a lot of their physical stores. What's been your advice to them to help them navigate through this time of uncertainty and rapid change?
Again, I think it's to answer straight away to your questions, they need still to communicate, because you still need to be top of mind of your client. If you don't communicate, at the end, you will pay the bill and you will lose market shares. But also, we need also to understand that we have phases. First of all, we have what I call the sideration phase. So there is a shock, and you need to admit it. Then you need to organize your organization to face it, and depending on the size of your company, it could take time. And then after the organization phase starts the adaptation phases. And so I think it's, and what's, you need at least 4 weeks, and this is what we saw in Italy, for example. We have been locked down for more 7 weeks now, and after 4 weeks, the advertisers, so 4 weeks, the first 4 weeks we adapt ourselves in Italy as well, and after 4 weeks we started to receive new RFPs, new campaigns, new signings, etc. So it was interesting. So it's 4 weeks, and I think now, so this is what we are again telling to our customers: guys, you are reopening on May 11th. Are you ready? And again, and what's going to be your communication? You need to adapt your message. You need to communicate about, because there will be an after this. And I think it's, and that's why I think we are very well positioned. Our position is good because we, let's say, the center of our technology is about local, and everyone will want to have a local communication, because you want to attract people coming from around you. So from the mass media, we'll come back a bit more for more customized and localized media. And so this is what we are telling our retailers: say, okay, guys, there will be an after, be ready for the after.
Yeah. What's the biggest mistake that they could make as a retailer in this time?
I think not communicating, because all the studies, for years, if you look back in history for the crisis, 29, 72, or worldwide 45, etc., or 2008 for the most recent one. The brands we didn't communicate has lost market share when the rebound came back. I think it's a very good timing also for a brand to communicate around something new. And I think communicating about your values, it's something that will be appreciated by your customers. And I think you need to, because a brand is not only product you buy, it's also you are buying a story, you are buying values. Because I'm not sure we are all able to make the difference from milk A and milk B. It's the values around milk A and milk B who is making the difference.
Right.
I think it's important for retailers to communicate about their values and how they will manage the after, and how they will manage, and how they will be perceived as sustainable by their customers. I think sustainability would be one of the key words for the coming years.
Yeah, thank you. That's it's great. I think you're right. I think people are there will be a re-questioning to some degree of values. Probably not as much as we think. Sometimes people get back into their usual way of life, but I think that in some probably areas we don't even know yet, people will be quite profoundly affected by this period, and there will be a shift, I think, definitely in values and priorities that we'll see in people. What if you were looking back at this period, if you were to give yourself a leadership lesson, it might even be from other things, if you were to give yourself a leadership lesson, say back at your the start of the journey with S4M back in 2011, not necessarily just about this particular COVID-19 period, but just about what you've experienced as an entrepreneur, what would that leadership lesson be? What would you have loved to have known about management and people and leading a company?
I think it's all about culture, because we, S4M, we launched, let's say, in late 2011, and we went international in 2015. But we decided at first to expand, but by staying in France, by hiring, we hired country managers, local country managers, etc. And we were monitoring the international activity from Paris. And I think that was the biggest mistake we've made, is if you want to launch a country, you need to be there to understand the culture, to bring the DNA to the local team you are hiring, etc. You can be lucky. We were lucky. We have been very lucky with the Italian team, because we recruited 2 top guys, and they did it perfectly. But in other markets, it was tougher, just because we didn't understand the culture, and maybe we wanted to apply our French culture to the US culture, the Britain culture, etc., which doesn't work at the end.
Yeah.
So it's important to go there to understand the culture and to adapt yourself to the market. And it's not about translation, it's about localization. But at the end, you still have golden rules, and golden rules is hard work. And that's why when a founder is going to, this is what I'm advising to startups, etc. If you want to open a new market, go there. One of the founders has to go there, just to bring with him or her the DNA of the company, and to give the DNA of the company to the local employees.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my phrases is that leaders create the culture, right? They define the culture by your very nature, right? If you're a leader, that's what you do. You create the culture. If you're not there, and if you haven't created yet the mechanisms in your company, it is possible, but it takes a while to create the mechanisms where the other people start to propagate that culture. But I think in the early years, the founders are the embodiment.
Yeah, and I think the second advice I'm giving startups also is choose your market, because the energy, and I think it's a question of size of the market, because the energy you will give into it and put into it will be the same.
Right.
You get the same results. So when you are in France and you want to consider international, if you think your product has a potential to go abroad, don't go to Germany, go straight to the US, because the US is 20 times bigger. So energy you will put into it, and to convince people to buy your product, when it will be done in the US, the scale will be much more quicker than it will be in other European market. And that maybe the second mistake is to have decided to try to go a bit everywhere, not to focus on one market. And after it's because we have the experience, etc. But we should have, retrospectively, we should have opened the US, focused on the US, put all our energy into developing maybe the tech in France and to expand into the US. And once the US will have been done and biggest market, then you can maybe consider other markets as well.
Brilliant.
Thank you. It's an Israeli strategy. Actually, all the Israeli guys are developing the tech in Israel and launching it commercially in the US. And they are right. And that's very clever. We should do the same. Or maybe in China, so you pick up one of the two largest markets and you do it.
Yeah, I think it's that question of focus, right? As entrepreneurs, often we like to go and we see all the opportunities everywhere, and just focusing down and saying, right now, this is the rallying cry for the company, right? This is the focus. Yeah. Do one thing and nail it, and then move on. And I think that's
complicated to know when you are an entrepreneur, and because you want to go everywhere, and because you think that Belgium, UK, Germany, Italy, Spain, but at least there are small markets. I think Italy is smaller than Texas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a great
France
great way of looking at it.
France, Italy, similar. UK, France, Italy is sizable, and we are way lower than California.
Yeah, it's a great point. And when I'm working with exec teams, often that's the thing. It's like, how do you take the founder who has loads of ideas often and wants to go in a million directions, and probably your COO who is trying to say, let's just try and do one thing, and there's a bit of both that's important, but it's trying to help everybody get to an agreement where everyone's comfortable about where do we actually focus.
It's always a question of balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Christophe, a few quick questions just to kind of wrap up our time. So these are just a few favorites that you might have. So just in a sentence or two, what's your favorite book?
Good to Great.
Good to Great. Fantastic. It's a great book. What about your favorite?
And in that book, you have the Hedgehog strategy, which is very important these days.
Yeah, the Hedgehog strategy, right? So just for people who don't know, the Hedgehog strategy is the Hedgehog just does one thing really well, right? Which is to curl up and have spikes. And mastered that as a defense mechanism and a survival mechanism. And if companies need to know what's that one thing. So yes, thank you for that. What are your favorite productivity tip? How do you stay productive?
I think it's in individual productivity KPIs. I think it's important that you monitor closely the individual productivity, just because I think people need to have work, and it's not part of the human nature to go for more work. So, and I think it's part also of the human nature that people want to have a lot of things to do rather than have nothing to do. So it's important to monitor that closely, and with that you will be able to also monitor your profitability. And at the end, even if you are growing a lot, and maybe that's something we startups are forgetting, is profitability is king at the end.
Yes.
So growing is good. So we need to grow, but you need to grow safely. Look at WeWork. They grew massively, but at the end they are not profitable, and they are in a very they are in danger. So it's complicated.
Yes.
So it's important to have, again, it's always a question of balance, and to look at, for me, individual productivity, it's key, and that's why the OKR is interesting as well, because you are giving a company objective, and then every department are declining the OKR in also OKRs, etc. But it has to go to individual.
How do you keep yourself productive? What's your own personal effectiveness tip or strategy? Do you have a routine? How do you plan your day? You know, is there a tool that you use?
No,
How do you
actually,
do it?
not really. I would say it's when I look at me in the window, if I don't know, mirror, if I'm happy or not. I don't know how to manage my productivity. My productivity would be maybe to managing to lead well the team, and to help others to achieve their productivity target. If they have achieved that, I can say that I have achieved mine.
Great. Who's a leader that inspires you?
A lot of them. I think you can. It's Steve Jobs was a great example. Not in everything he did, but I think he had a great word. Is I don't hire people to do the job. If I hire people, they have to learn me something. And I think that's totally true. Otherwise, it's useless to hire people. So I think it's then I'm more. I did a lot of sports when I was younger, and I think it's a team play. And I think a company is a team play. It's like a pro team where you have a lot of different players. At the end, we don't ask people to be friends and to share everything, but at least to work together, and to be. It has to be very fluid, and to trust each other. So in terms of leaders, I would say just maybe all the sports captain of the winning team are some of people we all need to follow.
What about your favorite quote or motto?
Quote. I don't. Let me check it in English, because it's something coming from Saint-Exupéry. So I know it in
French.
In French. So can you give me a sec? Okay. So if you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. Love does not consist in gazing at each other, but in looking outward together in the same direction.
Yeah, beautiful. That vision, yeah. Get people's eyes up. Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I think that was really, I think all I wanted to ask, where can people find more about you, or about S4M and everything that you're doing in helping retailers bridge the online and the physical worlds?
Can you repeat this question, because I didn't get it?
Sure. So Christophe, thanks for this discussion. Where can people go to learn more about you and about S4M and everything that you're doing to bridge the physical and the online worlds for retailers?
So actually, you can go to our website, s4m.io, and I strongly advise you to join our academy, because during that crisis, we launched an academy, about 20 minutes webinars, where we are trying to give insights to people about what is drive to store, or to drive impactful drive to store strategy. But not only, it's more about additional content, etc. So I strongly advise you, if you want, it's a 20-minute session. It's every Thursday at noon, I think, where you can join it. But obviously, you can. It's recorded, so you can have access to it.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for joining, Christophe, and speak to you soon.
Thank you, Richard.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Now let's turn to you. If you're a top performer who's already accomplished great things and yet knows that there's a whole new level of impact and potential open to you, then why don't we get on the phone and strategize on how to get you there? Head over to xquadrant.com/speak to find out more. Until next time, be bold and be purposeful.